Hello YouTube, I'm Vincent Kenny, or as some of you may know me, Viral Vinnie. Now earlier this year, Uncharted 4 came out, and it wrapped up Nathan Drake's story, and really was a great, satisfying way to send off the series, at least for the time being. So of course, now that the series has come to a close, Nathan Drake rode off into the sunset, there's only one big lingering question I'm sure on everyone's mind. How do all the games stack? So that's why we're going to be doing the top 4 Uncharted games. Now originally I actually did want to do a top 4, but the more I thought about it, the more it was like choosing one of my favorite children, because I love all these games. These games are all great, they're all awesome, they're all just genre defining, and really what I think of the PS3 generation, I think Uncharted was just trailblazing in terms of what it did for gaming as a whole. They're all great, amazing, fantastic games. They're all 9 out of 10 perfect games, very few flaws with any of them. Even the first Uncharted, I genuinely love and I genuinely enjoy. Just that, yes, it's a bit rough around the edges compared to the other ones, but I still think it is a fantastic, amazing, great game. So, the more I thought about it, the more I realized, well, there's no point discussing individually why each one is good. But I thought the better question is, why at all do we love Uncharted? How did we go from Naughty Dog making the Jak and Daxter games, which, to be very fair and blunt, even though it's my favorite series, it's a very teenager-friendly game. It's a lot of angsty of guns and open world and women in thongs and tight outfits. How did we go from that teenage juvenileness, for lack of a better word, to this emotional, great, ground-bacon series? Which I may seem like a pretty obvious and simple answer, but when you think about it more, it really does kind of show you how far gaming has come. Now, originally, gaming in its early days had always been Pong, Asteroid, Pac-Man, these very high score, just gameplay first focused experiences. Yeah, there was a reason why Mario was jumping up on these pipes trying to get to Donkey Kong and save Pauline, but really 90% of video games back then, the story was kind of just the means to the ends. But as we started to go on further and we got to games like Final Fantasy and a lot of other RPGs, we really started to focus as much on the story as we did onto the gameplay. Even still, going up into the PS2 generation, it still was pretty much just the end to the meat. They all basically just came down to, why am I doing these specific actions? Uncharted, on the other hand, when you look at it, the gameplay is very boring, for lack of a better term. It's just a standard cover shooter with some light platforming where there are huge chunks where you're just climbing up buildings where there's no enemies shooting at you, there's no major precautions or perils. You're just following this path up a cliff to get to the next gun shoot area, the next arena, where you then just rinse and repeat over and over for 4 games. But the reason we love Uncharted is the fact that it is 101% main focus is about its story. It has great gameplay, that cannot be denied, and the main focus and the main reason people have always been drawn to an Uncharted is the fact that it really fulfills the promise of letting us play our favorite movie experiences. Even back with the PS2, there were a lot of movie tie-ins and a lot of movie-based games, and it sort of replicated the feeling, like you were kind of doing it. Even great games like Star Wars Battlefront or Lego Star Wars, you're like, well, this is kind of what invading the Death Star would feel like in a game, I guess. For a long, long time, these were just ideas and basically concepts, the leading off points, and you would basically funnel it down to something more precise, something you could more reasonably do. Uncharted, on the other hand, was a game where you did everything you wanted without any qualms. There was a great combat system which let you mimic stuff like the Jason Bourne movies and a lot of these recent action movies with the quick-paced, punching and in-your-face, unchoreographed fights that feel a lot more dirty and raw. And especially when you compare it to later parts of the series like Uncharted 3, where you can pick up items off of the tables or slam enemies into bookcases. You really got this feeling that you were using your fist, even though it was only a simple one-button combo. But it still made you feel like you were an action star, where you would get into these great big fist fights, and yeah, their guys were bigger than you and stronger than you, but you still could take on anyone with just your bare fist and your wits. Being a everyday John McClane type hero really only goes so far, and the big aspect of why people have stuck with this series for so long is, of course, Nathan Drake. Now, it's easy to say, oh, Nathan Drake is just a stereotypical action hero. He's the great, witty, banter-filled, intelligent, smart treasure hunter. But, you know, he's smart, but he's well-read. He's goofy, he's got a good sense of humor, but he's also can be serious and focused when he needs to. He's pretty much just a perfect guy. And you went there right. Nathan Drake is a great, amazing, awesome role model. Is he totally a fictional character? Absolutely. But we don't look at characters like Sylvester Stallone or Bruce Willis or any of these other action stars and go, they're not very realistic. They are totally above, heightened examples of what you would expect these normal, everyman, as they're often defined, to be. Now, of course, one charming man alone was not going to make this series. You also have great, amazing side characters, like his love interest, Elena Fisher, his mentor and best friend, Victor Goddamn Sullivan, as well as other great characters who would come later, like Eddie Raja and Chloe and Cutter, and the great, amazing villains, like Navarro and the white guy in the first one. Well, and then after that, there were actually genuinely great villains, like Lazarevich and Marlowe and Nadia? And what was his name? The villains have never been the best part of Uncharted. But again, really, what action film has very memorable villains besides Han Gruber? No, again, the focus was less on the actual bad guys or the items themselves, but these characters. As annoying as it was, especially in that third one, the main crux of the series is not actually following Nathan Drake as he's a treasure hunter, amassing this wealth, being this world resourcer. He's just a common criminal, for lack of a better term. No, the crux of this whole franchise has been the relationship between Nathan Drake and Elena Fisher. Elena is a lot more pure and innocent, and she typically follows things by the book. And Nathan Drake, of course, is, again, for lack of a better term, a criminal. He lives outside of the law. He doesn't have a traditional job. He's a lot more a scumbag, a scruffy nerf herder. And despite the fact that they would constantly break up and get together, and break up and get together again, and in the third one, I think they're engaged, but not really, because he kept the ring, but they didn't find if they were engaged. Besides all that, you could still tell the connection and the love they had for each other. They had a great relationship that in many ways I really admire. Don't know if I should, because again of the whole breaking up, getting together part. But you could generally tell they loved each other, they cared for each other, they wanted to be together. Especially those last few moments in Uncharted 4 when you're on the island and they're discussing their relationship and what they've been through and everything like that and how betrayed Elena. Because despite the fact that Nathan Drake considers himself a bad guy or a criminal, Elena sees the good in him. She knows he's not that. He's just a person of circumstance that his brother and him were on the run from a young age. They had to assume these identities. She sees the good in him. And that's the positive and the negative of this series, is it very much relies on the standard movie plots and these movie tropes, things we're familiar with from other media. We've seen all of these stuff before, but the fact that it's done so well in this series is what makes us keep coming back. Still, a great main character and an engaging relationship are all fine and dandy, but an award-winning series? That doesn't make... What else is it? What is it about Uncharted we love? Traditionally, for the longest time, we've had this struggle as gamers as, how do I introduce my family to gaming? How do I bring them into my world? You wouldn't necessarily want to start your grandmother on a Final Fantasy game, or Chrono Trigger, or any of those other games. Those are great, amazing games. I absolutely love them. I think they have great engagement stories. But you don't start a person at it. Uncharted is one of those perfect gateway games because it's simply, hey, this is a Hollywood movie. Do you enjoy movies? Do you like action movies? Do you like Indiana Jones? Things of that sort? It is that. And they could get as much watching the game as you did playing it. And on a core, basic level, yes. I'm sure some will argue that the cover mechanic and the shooting are better in other games, that other games have more engaging stories. There are other games like Flower or Flow or Journey or all these other games which you can use to entice and bring other people who are not gamers in. But the fact still remains that this series has characters that we love, that we relate to, that we can sympathize with, we can understand, we put so much emotions in. And that goes back to great writing, which may seem like an easy thing. Yeah, they talk like genuine, normal, average people, which may seem like not that big of a deal. But in the grand scheme of things, that's still very impressive, that they had these characters that were so human, that were so relatable, we could totally believe they're real. Even though they're pixels, even though they're just these lines of code, we felt a connection to these characters. Much in the same way, the Marvel movies. Are they masterpieces? No. Are they works of art? Most likely not. But hands down, I say people would love those more than any of these Saving Private Ryans or a Casablanca or Godfather or a 2001. Yes, it may seem like it is average and standard and kind of so-so, but the fact that Uncharted made you feel so much emotions really is a testament to how well writing. So, yes, we do need those masterpieces, those works of art, those things we need to analyze and pontificate and look inward to express what does it mean to me, to the world, to humanity, to all these grand adventures. And then there's some times where you just want to see shit blows up, or you want to see a man hang off a train, or you want to see a man fight yetis, or ride a horse through the desert, or go to a pirate island. Is it historically accurate? Probably not. But is it fun and engaging? Yes. And that has always been Uncharted's first strength. That no matter what, regardless of the story, the tech, or the gameplay, or whatever, their first and always concern has always been, is it fun?
Oh, yeah. What was you